As you wake up in the morning, you want to find the latest, greatest information about criminal cases and have an intuitive conversation about the suspects associated with these cases. Head over to the Bullhorn Betty channel on YouTube. Get breaking news right here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty Coffee Club. Enjoy your stay and enjoy your day.
Giving your breaking daily updates related to the Sebastian Rogers case. This is going to blow your mind, guys. I've been personally covering the case of Sebastian Rogers, a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee. His mother, Katie Proudfoot, and stepfather, Chris Proudfoot, came out and told their stories in this interview about what transpired related to the disappearance of their 15-year-old son. Katie, Sebastian's mother, describes the day before he disappeared, Sunday, February 25th. They went to BJ's, he got a colossal popcorn, he was just a very happy, jovial young man, and they came home, put some snacks away, and then they went to a local bowling alley, and next to the bowling alley was a steakhouse where they ate. After they ate, they loaded up and went home. He took out the garbage, and the rest is history. He goes to bed at 9 p.m. Mom goes to bed at midnight. She awakes at 6 a.m. to wake Sebastian up as she normally does, and he's gone. Christopher Proudfoot states that he was not even in the area at the time that Sebastian left the home, that he was many miles away as he was working in Memphis and staying in his camper in Mississippi. A lot of people watching this case unfold became very, very skeptical of both Katie and Christopher Proudfoot's story about what happened leading up to Sebastian's disappearance. Many people noticed the deep abrasion scratches in some areas looking like bite marks on Christopher Proudfoot's arms some 8 days after Sebastian disappeared. Seth Rogers, which is Sebastian's biological father, decided to start doing some ground searches and raised money on a GoFundMe page to aid those efforts. Christopher Proudfoot threatened Sebastian's father in a lawsuit related to the GoFundMe page and also the fact that Seth appeared to make the other side of the family, look bad. Many people went out searching for Sebastian Rogers, and the one thing that was missing out of all the efforts volunteers put forth was Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. And when people asked them why they weren't out searching for their very son that went missing from their home, they told people that it was because law enforcement told them to stay home. However, that very evening, they were seen at a barbecue joint outside of the home enjoying a dinner. Meanwhile, never once searching for their very son that they say they care about and want to come home. Media was in an uproar, demanding answers from both Katie and Christopher Proudfoot why they're not helping with any searches for their son. And what was their response? They got in their camper, packed it up, and took off. Sebastian's mom and stepfather took off to a campground in Mississippi where they returned home for a short while and then returned back to this campground. Right now, it appears that the camper is still at this mobile home park or RV park with Chris's truck, but we have confirmed Chris is not staying there and has installed a camera on the camper. There are so many people curious as to why there's a camera on this camper but not on their home before Sebastian Rogers walked out that door. The sheriff was very cordial at the beginning of this search for Sebastian when he truly believed both Katie and Chris Proudfoot were deemed innocent and had no culpability in the disappearance of their son. If you look at the newest interview Nick Barris has with this very sheriff, you see a much different demeanor. Does this case anger me? You darn right. Does it make me want to almost lose my mind? You darn tootin'. Chris and Katie have a lot of explaining to do, because what I just laid out for you is only a minor, small amount of the case against them. She was raped 4 months before she disappeared, and she may have been prego at the time of the disappearance. A lot of stuff is going on in this young girl's life prior to her disappearance. This is Janiah McMichael. Janiah McMichael has been missing. There's a lot of discrepancies in her time. Her mother is saying that she disappeared in August, around August 11th, but her family's saying communication abruptly stopped at the end of June 2024. She hasn't been seen or heard from, but here's some details to her case that are very, very, very disturbing. So her mother's lack of concern and urgency in those days after she went missing are very concerning for me. She's in a drug-infested, gang-infested community of Gary, Indiana. And so that heightens these concerns about her well-being and where she is, especially in light of the SA allegations and the potential repercussions of those SA allegations. Of course, CPS was involved because of the SA issue. And then 4 months after this SA allegation happened, her family says she disappeared at the end of June, right at the beginning of summer vacation, and hasn't been seen or heard. The concern is her mother waited almost 24 hours to even report her, because she was reported on August 12th, not August 11th when her mom said she last saw her. A 13-year-old child that had recently been SA'd, most likely prego as a result of that, and then disappears, and her mom is acting like she ran away.
Janiah, this message, this video, this is for you, and I just want you to know that I want you home. I need you at home. It's been very, very difficult without you here. We all miss you. I want you to know that we love you, and whatever you're dealing with, we can deal with together as a family. There's no reason that you have to be out in the street. You have everything you need at home. There's nothing greater than what you're going through. Just come home. You don't have to be scared. There's no punishment behind it. You won't have to deal with anything but embrace of love. We're going to just deal with the situation and take it from there. So you are more than welcome home. And I promise you, you are not in trouble. So don't think you're in trouble. Don't stay out longer because you feel like you're going to be in trouble when you get home. There's no trouble behind this.
This is another community that didn't follow the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children recommendations of turning the home and the bedroom into the crime scene. And therefore, it took all the way up until October before they did forensics in the house where Janiah McMichael was last seen. We still have other children out there that are missing. This one right here is Janiah McMichael. There is foul play suspected in her case. She's been missing allegedly by her mother since August of 2024, but her family that she was speaking with said that communication abruptly ended at the end of June. So we've got some discrepancies here as well. And I've reviewed her mother's one video that she put out to her daughter, and it made me feel some type of way. I believe her mom knows a little bit more about where her daughter may be because of the allegations and the situation this young girl has been put into at the direct result of her mother and where they're living.
Earlier today, we spoke to the partner of the two children's mother. Here's some of what he had to say about Jack and Lilly.
Awesome kids, very, very kind. They'll talk to anyone. They want to go with anyone. They're just looking to have as much fun as they can. Jack just absolutely loves bugs, dinosaurs, anything like that. But Lilly loves girly things, but she also loves doing everything with Jack, bugs. They're like best friends, not just brother and sister.
He says he's also hoping police monitor the New Brunswick border and the airports for any sign of the two children. But RCMP tell us this afternoon they're not considering any possible abduction here as far as they're concerned. They're looking for 2 young children who simply wandered away.
I know that there's a lot of people pulling for these kids to come home.
Disturbing new details about the 2 siblings missing from Nova Scotia are being realized today. The Nova Scotia siblings, Lilly and Jack Sullivan, disappeared on May 2nd around 10 a.m. in the morning. And since then, a lot of people have speculated wildly, and some, in my opinion, are on target. We learned that there may have been a house party at their house in or around the time the kids disappeared. This changes what direction this case goes. The mounted police in Canada also stated that they have 35 individuals that they have identified for formal interview. And now these messages are becoming well known. And now we're starting to see the substances inside the home. Check it out. We're going to have a lot more to say about these text messages that are now making their rounds on social media. We've got a lot to talk about. Stay tuned to the Bullhorn Betty channel. Guys, we have breaking news update in the Decker sisters case. Travis Decker, their father, which is accused of unaliving all 3 children, which were found on June 1st, is on the run. There is a huge manhunt throughout the country right now with sightings in Ohio as well as Idaho. We are learning that those sightings are not Travis Decker. However, they have called in the U.S. Marshals. This is super important because we just learned in the Sebastian Rogers case that Sumner County refused U.S. Marshal assistance. However, here in this state, in Washington state, where they're trying to find a crazed man that unalived his children, they are absolutely using the U.S. Marshals' help to search and find him. So it makes you wonder, if the U.S. Marshals are so good at their job, why is Sumner County refusing their assistance? Now, getting back to this case with the Decker sisters, this is Peyton, which is 9 years old, Evelyn, 8 years old, and Olivia, only 5 years old. Their mother loved these beautiful children. She gave them a beautiful home, provided them a beautiful life, and just wanted them to thrive and thrive well. Unfortunately, her military husband fell ill to mental illness, had a lot of problems going on with him, and she ultimately divorced him. When she divorced him, he became homeless. He could no longer take care of himself, and he had an unstable environment for his 3 children. His wife went to court multiple times trying to limit his ability to have the children overnight and to remove visitation until he had a more stable environment. However, the courts kind of met in the middle and took away his overnight visits, however, allowed the kids to see him 3 hours a day, several times a week. And on May 30th, for a scheduled visit, he was supposed to return them at 8 p.m., and he failed to show up. The mother concerned, but I doubt she ever anticipated something like this. Chelan County Sheriff's Department did put on a press conference, and their press conference was pretty thorough. So we're going to turn it over to the sheriff. Let me know what your thoughts are about the conversation. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we will do our best to try to find those answers. If you guys could do me a favor and take just a few moments and hit that like button, I'd greatly appreciate it. We thrive on getting information out to our audience, and you are part of that help. So we appreciate any help you can provide me here at the Bullhorn Betty channel. God bless each and every one of you, and please pray for this family, especially this mother. My heart aches for her.
Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia are clearly a motivating force for us. A lot of our guys are working with sleep deprivation, but their thoughts are always on the girls and making sure that we're staying motivated and getting the results the family expects out of us. We have learned so far through our investigation today that he is well versed in outdoor survival. And talking with his father, it sounds at times that he would go out and would be leaving off grid for sometimes up to 2.5 months. So we also understand too that he at times would do caching. So we understand that that's a possibility, that he could have scoped out this area before, put supplies out there, and has the ability and the knowledge to survive for a long period of time. We're getting more confirmation that he might have possibly gone through mountain survival school, but we also know too that he's been an outdoorsman since he was a kid. Talking with a parent, it seemed like this was something that he was attracted to, liked doing in his free time. So clearly some of the knowledge he's probably acquired throughout his lifetime, in addition to the training he might or might not have acquired through the Army, is something that we're taking into consideration. And we've also had a forensics electronic detective going through the cell phone and other electronic items that we've collected on the scene. And today, as I was leaving our emergency operations center, we did have members of the Washington State Patrol that were processing some of the cell phones we located in the vehicle. They were discovered earlier this week. It was outside Leavenworth, your Moore Up Ice School Drainage around milepost 18, around Rock Island Campground. And worst case scenario, we could see that he might have gotten a head start on Friday, so he would have had the whole weekend to be out there. But we're still tracking it down. We will have our autopsy results. It should be coming back tomorrow, and we'll get a better idea of what kind of time frame we're looking at. I can tell you so far today we had a possible sighting on East Leavenworth Road. We checked that out. It was not Mr. Decker. We had another one out at milepost 83, US 2. And then, of course, we continue to hear information about other possible sightings from across the nation. As we understood, based off the information we got back, was that the sighting in McCall, Idaho was not our suspect. We are aware of other connections he has. We've interviewed friends, co-workers. We're optimistic that we can track down his location. But our primary goal is to track him down. Of course, we want to make sure that he's safe, but ultimately he will be brought to justice. This time we have not found Travis. My message is still the same. Travis, if you're out there seeing us, we'd like you to turn yourself in. We want a peaceful resolution to this, but we're not going to relinquish our efforts and giving up any effort that we can proceed to track you down. Clearly, it's not the decision of a sound mind, and these young girls were a victim.
Let me know your thoughts on the press conference as well as this case, which is about Peyton, 9 years old, Evelyn, 8 years old, and Olivia, just 5 years old. Please keep them and their mother, Whitney, in your thoughts and prayers. May God bless you and those watching.
Good morning, my beautiful people. We just went through 4 different videos of victims where we believe the parents have, one or all parents have a hand in the disappearance of their children. 3 of the children that we're going to be discussing have already been found. They've been recovered. They are deceased, and they were unalived by their father, Travis. And they have a manhunt underway for Travis Decker throughout the country. There's sightings coming in all over the country. I don't believe all those sightings are obviously him. There's ones that produced in Idaho. We just heard from the sheriff the sighting that so far that they've received that have been called in. None of them have panned out. Is he dead or alive? We don't know. Let's go into the case first. We're going to be talking about the case of Janiah McMichael. Janiah McMichael, she was a 13-year-old girl that has recently turned 14 since her disappearance at the beginning of the summer break of last year, June. Her family says she abruptly stopped talking to them. And then her mother reported her missing on August 12th, stating that she hadn't seen her since the day before. So she took 24 hours to even report her 13-year-old daughter missing. Before we get into the details of this case and talking about the parents, we're going to learn some things. I want to say good morning to everybody. It's nice to see you. The first in chat, Eeyore Blues, followed by the real Me Too. Our beautiful Melanie is up in the chat. Gigi for life. It is nice to see you, me and you. It's nice to see Bullhorn Betty's present. Little Orange Man, it's great to see you. Karen says, hey there, good to see you. I intentionally know very little about the Decker sisters because it's just so heartbreaking, but I do think I'm ready for more information. These parents, amen to that. Amen to that. And we need to start figuring out what the issue is. There's something. I believe there's something. I believe there's something that we can kind of hone in on that can kind of explain some of this. Maybe, maybe not. I'm unsure. But where's all this mental health coming from? Mental illness. Mental illness is running rampant in America. Why just America? I mean, obviously we have mental illness all over the world. Don't misunderstand the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is we have elevated mental illness, and I really believe
Just my opinion. I think a lot of mental illness isn't mental illness. It's misdiagnosed as mental illness. Some people don't need a prescription. Okay, stuff that messes with a brain. A prescription that's used for, let's say you're moody. Okay, so they give you a mood stabilizer, but now it may cause a depression. Now you're going to need to get on an antidepressant, which causes you not to sleep. So now you're having psychosis. So now you need to sleep. I don't do the pill mill thing. I don't do it. I don't do it. It's always, here's this for this, and then here's this so you can take this for this, and then here's this for this, so you can continue to take this. I'm done. I'm done. These things are messing with people's brains, what they're putting into our children at such young ages, those vaccines and everything. I'm sorry. People need to start questioning things. Something is messing with the minds of our developing children. And by the time they get to adulthood, they are out of their blessed minds. Not all of them, but there's something triggering. Now, this man could be part to do with his military. Now, if he was military, say infantry, and he had wartime, that can really screw somebody up. Whether you like it or not, I can tell you, because I've got friends and family in the military. One of my friend's sons literally sitting next to his best friend, and literally the next moment, his best friend is wiped off the face of the earth. So that does something to people. So you've got a lot of people coming out of the military that has mental scars we don't see on the outsides of their bodies that are going untreated. And a lot of these leads to the statistics we know related to military personnel that get out of military and the unalive rating, the self-unaliving rating of them. So it has a lot to do with the fact that they're thrown into the world after experiencing such trauma. And whether they've been trained for the trauma or not, it's still trauma. And then they throw them in the real world with the rest of us and expect them to function the same. It's a little different. So good morning, Frank. It's nice to see you as well. Who else do we have up in the house? Outer Banks is here. Are you on time? Let me check and see if you're on time. Oh, that's right. We started an hour late. She's on time. No, I'm just joking. Outer Banks is going to smack me. Cindy, it's nice to see you. Carla, good morning. Good morning. Groovy gal up in the house. Oh, thank you, Melanie. Happy Thursday, Delilah, mods, and chat. I hope everyone is doing much better. Love you, Betty. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I like this channel. It's kind of low key. We don't have a lot of riff-raff on this particular channel yet. We'll put that caveat on there. Kathleen, it's nice to see you. VA, good morning. Dawn, good morning. It's nice to see you. Our beautiful Pebbles is up in the house. Dawn, who else do we have? Mel, good morning. It's nice to see you, love bug. The real me too, starting the mullet party goal. Amen to that. Amen to that. Mullet party goal. Love it. I appreciate the intros. What does it say? BHB, I appreciate the intros. These stories need to stay in the forefront. And that's why we do. And we have to sometimes commingle these cases because, like, Janiah McMichael is not getting the attention she really needs out there on social media. So we have to incorporate her in with, say, like the Decker sisters or the Sullivan case or the Rogers case, because she's just not getting enough traction to be independent on her own. But she does need avocation, and people need to know she's still missing. We're in June. I mean, it's been almost a year. She hasn't been seen or heard. The last person she was around, by her own mother's account, was her mother. So again, these parents, we're going to keep going through these parents because I think the parents know more. And I don't just think it was her mother. I think it was her mother's girlfriend. And I think her mother's girlfriend, essayed her daughter. I do. I absolutely do believe that. The Real Me Too members for 17 months. Good gracious, you've been with me that long? I see Gypsy up in the house. Mary, Unicorn, it's nice to see you. God bless you. Denise, good morning. Who else do we have? Me and you, Gypsy. I think I said hi to everybody. So let's go ahead into April. It's nice to see you, YouTuber. Oh, thank you for being a member of the crazy crew we call the Coffee Club over here on the Crime Stories. We got Strawberry up in the house. It's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. So let's go ahead. Oh, I missed one. YouTuber says, yes, we need mullet party. I don't want Sebastian getting too far gone. Did someone say mullet party? I'm in. You guys are killing me. You guys are killing it. Killing it, I said. We will definitely get to the mullet party. We'll get it to, we'll start it. We'll kick it off when we get into the Sebastian Rogers segment of this show. But right now, Janiah McMichael has been missing, I'm going to say, since June. I don't trust the lady's mother or the girl's mother. I don't trust her at all. I think her mother is a piece of, you know what? I think her mother knew these children were being abused. She didn't do anything about it. And then she brings another piece of garbage into the house, which is really weird because obviously mom's bi, because her most recent lover was a female. And this female was accused of touching Janiah subsequently, right before she disappeared, which I find a little ironic. So I really don't give a whole lot of weight to these parents this day and age, because these parents are starting to become a little cray-cray, and it's a very, very, very concerning. So please, guys, you guys got to watch. I mean, those nice, sweet little parents that look like Chris and Katie, that look like, you know, that your next door neighbor, they could be doing a lot of stuff. So keep your eyes and ears peeled. Even though 14-year-old Janiah McMichael has been missing for nearly 9 months, it's been longer than that now. It's been almost a year. This came out April 29th was the last news article about Janiah, which is pretty sad. So we're definitely further along. We're now almost to a year. Her family still holds out hope that she will be found alive, despite investigators recently saying something sinister is behind her disappearance. It's very hard because Janiah was like one of my own children instead of my granddaughter, Dalia Guerrero said McMichael's grandmother. Still hopeful, Guerrero prays for the best, but braces for the worst as investigators are searching for her missing granddaughter. Says she may be a victim of foul play. Now, they didn't really take this story seriously either, so shame on law enforcement, because in all fairness, they should have had her pulled out of this house long before this. Where she accuses her mom's girlfriend of touching her, this was the fourth event in a year, in less than a year, of this girl being abused in that way. The teens, whose 14th birthday was Monday, was reported missing by her mother last August from their Gary, Indiana home. McMichael was last seen wearing pajama pants, black hooded sweatshirt, similar to what was described as Sebastian Rogers, except she had red and black shoes on, allegedly. Investigators have searched the home where the girl lived, and they didn't search that home properly, according to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, until October, almost 3 months after she disappeared. What a shame. While the FBI says McMichael has known ties to both Gary and East Chicago, Indiana, they have not provided any details outlining this latest development. It was very unlikely, unlike Janiah, to be gone for so long. So it wasn't a shock to find out foul play could be a possibility, says Lizette Gillen with Case Files Chicago. On Monday night, family and friends and people in the community gathered to celebrate McMichael with balloon releases. I feel some type of way about the birthdays when a child's missing, because you're celebrating something for a child that's not there. I'm kind of in the middle of the road for that kind of stuff. People hooting and hollering and acting like they're having a good time when there's a child missing. I just can't get down like that. Where her biological father, Antonio Rogers, promised never to stop looking for his daughter. Federal investigators have upped the reward to $20,000 for information leading to the arrest and conviction in the McMichael's disappearance. So when I hear that they're leading to an arrest and conviction, that in and of itself, without saying anything, is telling me that law enforcement believes Janiah McMichael's is deceased, okay? Because they're wanting to arrest somebody. They don't believe she just walked out and ran away, and the last people she was around was her family. So it's kind of giving you some type of indicator there as well. I didn't put Missy Mogan on the thumbnail because she's also been found. Both of her parents have been charged with her death, and she was a little girl that was horribly abused to death. And I don't understand what's going on with these parents. So we have Janiah McMichaels, and then we have Sebastian Rogers, the Sullivan kids, and the Decker sisters. So the next one we're going to be going over here for this next segment is Lilly and Jack Sullivan. So I did give you guys the intro coming into the show, so you guys know the background of the case already. I guess my question is, like, here's my issue with this case. You know, I've been very cautious with this particular case. I've been kind of middle of the road. I feel like it's leaning toward the parent, one of the parents, not both of the parents. I'm starting to feel like it's taking shape and leaning toward, you know, one of the parents, the mom, as having possibly involvement in the disappearance of the children. Now, we know that they're in a vast nowhere's land, so there is a real possibility that they truly did get out and wander off and get stuck somewhere, or God knows. But whenever I start looking at that angle, the one problem I have the most, oh, hey, Smiley, it's nice to see you, love bug. I hope you're doing well. The one thing I have the problem with all of that is the mom's behavior. I can't explain the mom's behavior. The mom's behavior and her mother's behavior, grandmother's behavior, is very problematic for me. It's been very problematic for me since May 3rd. And it's what's preventing me. It's what's preventing me believing that they're out in the woods. Okay? I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's her behavior that is preventing me from believing that those children are out in the woods from wandering off. Now, are they out in the woods? Possibly. But I don't believe they wandered off. So what we've learned over the last few days and few weeks is that, and maybe you guys don't know this, but we're learning, okay? Now, this is from one person's perspective that's close to the family, but it seems ever since Meadow was born, Mom didn't want anything to do with the other children, okay? So now I'm starting to really, unfortunately, get the Leilani Simon vibes, okay? So now that we have a little more insight, we have Daniel on the record saying that he basically was the one saddled with taking care of these two children because after Meadow was born, she wanted nothing to do with them. When they went out inside to play, she didn't go out there and watch them play. It was Daniel that took them out to play. It was Daniel that helped them with their, getting dressed. It was Daniel that was allegedly helping them with their food and, taking care of their daily needs. It was Daniel, not the mom. The mom checked out. And that really was the last piece of the puzzle for me to start getting off that fence. Because now we have some behavioral changes in her after her daughter was born. And those behavioral changes was detachment. Okay? She detached from her older children. And now those older children in which she detached from are missing. And within 48 hours, she left that property and has never returned. Her mother was ultra concerned about somebody having her phone in her hand. She's been ultra concerned about who her daughter is talking to, demanding that she gets off the phone with anybody and everybody. So we're having not only the evidence of Malaya's behavior, but her mother, which no matter how old she gets, will always be saddled with protecting their daughter because they're mom, right? She obviously knows how to protect her daughter. She's protecting her daughter. I think her daughter does need protecting because I believe her daughter is hiding something. And I believe eventually she's going to try to put it on Daniel. And that will explain why she abruptly ended the relationship, changed their status, and blocked him from ever speaking to her again. Now, mind you, they have a daughter together. And now we have the father of Meadow coming out and saying, please quit attacking her. And the way he said it almost implied she's mentally breaking down at home, and he is very, very concerned for the well-being of his daughter. That's the way I took it. And that's very, very concerning because we have 2 missing children that she detached from. And now we have another child in her care. And that's a little scary for somebody like me. I do believe Malaya was a sweet girl. We got to see an insight, and we found a YouTube, profile for her, and she looked like a normal 16-year-old girl, okay? It was cute. It was cute. But again, she also described being bucked off of a horse and forever having back pain problems for life because of that event. We know when people get injured from cars or other injuries and doctors prescribe, and this was a 2013 time frame. This was right in that area of just prescribing. Nobody wants to feel pain. They want to feel like they're walking on clouds. And so doctors provide it. Right? Let me just break it down to you guys. When you guys go into surgery, it's painful, okay? We're not trying to completely remove the pain. We're just trying to live with the pain, okay? So the more you take, it doesn't take, and not only that, I'm telling you, if you want pain relief, the actual relief, they've prescribed me with the surgery I had for my neck, this abscess that I had here where they had to take an abscess out and expose my bone here. I mean, you're talking about they had to pack this and pull it out to build the tissue back up because this right here was down to my bone. You could see my bone. They took a picture of it. You could see my freaking bone. Okay? You're talking about painful stuff. I never used those narcotics that they prescribed to me because they would loop me out. I didn't like being looped out, and I was still under ungodly pain. You know what I did to manage my pain? And it managed my pain better than all of that narcotics that they had prescribed me. Ibuprofen and Aleve did better for me than those ungodly pharmaceuticals. And I was able not only to manage the pain, but to be able to move after surgery, which those medications that they gave me had me bedridden. They wanted me drooling out of my mouth and not moving. Okay? I don't got time for that. I'm too busy. So I don't know if that has a whole lot to do with the situation. Is it drug related, substance abuse related, pill related, something more related? There's a lot of speculation out there, and I truly don't know which way to go, because when you start looking into this, there's no proof. There is proof that there's substance use. Let me make sure you guys understand what I'm saying. There's evidence that there's substance use, but I'm not seeing this, Skid Row junkie addiction. If it was like that, we would not be seeing Daniel. Daniel would not be able to be clear-headed and clear-minded to be out there with the media, okay? And an addiction is an addiction. I mean, whether you like it or not, you got it. So it's not something that you can just say, okay, I'm addicted this day, but let me put my addiction to the corner so I can go handle this for the next month. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So is it a full-fledged addiction? I don't think that. You know what I think it is? If you really want to know, I think they're smoking a little pine and maybe doing a little snow. Okay, I don't think, yes, it's bad. I get that, but I don't think it's full-fledged. I think what we're dealing with here might be something more in line with the postpartum detachment of her children, just a woman at her breaking point type of situation, potentially. Now, there's still the caveat that they might be out in the woods and may have wandered out in the woods. Maybe mom's addicted. There's been stuff like that where, one person in the relationship is struggling more than the other. We saw that in the Leilani case as well. Both her and Daniel were partying together, but it was Leilani waking up in the middle of the night, sneaking out to the dealer's house and scoring and doing God knows what to get that. So, that was going on while he was sleeping, and he didn't know, and he was unaware. Is the same can be true at this house? I don't know. We do have an experience where we know that it could be a possibility, but I don't trust this mother because this mother has not given me a reason to trust her. She had a very shaky story that sounded scripted, and she took off right after that. And we haven't seen or heard from her since. She took down her Facebook page. She hasn't advocated for her children, not once. She hasn't showed up. There's nothing stopping her from having a news crew in that house and having a private interview with her attorney or her mother present to make sure she doesn't say anything out of line. There's no excuse for her not begging the world to continue to look for her babies. There's no excuse for that. There's no excuse. And she has sat silently by and let a stepfather that's not even related to these children take all of this and have to deal with it. Okay? I'm sorry. That is no mother that I want to put on a pedestal. Quite frankly, I think the country needs to take Meadow away from her until the results of this. Clearly, she's not in a position to properly take care of her daughter. The daughter's father is very concerned about the mother's mental health and well-being, and that being realized on his daughter. And that is a great concern, and I understand that concern. And my question is where is Meadow, and why is she not in protective custody? What could she possibly know about the disappearance of her siblings? We don't know. But I'm not willing to allow a mother and a grandmother to manipulate a child. And neither should Canada. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't know the laws over there, and I don't know what they can and cannot do. But I have to think that they have more power than the government of the United States to take children just by the design of their country. So I don't know why Meadow is not in protective custody. I think Meadow absolutely 100% needs to be in protective custody and away from her mother until we find out what happened to her siblings. And it's upsetting me because we haven't really heard any more. I feel like we're getting to the end of the search. Mom seems very fast to jump to things. No patience, just through her Facebook. Yeah, I agree, Passion Flower. It does have that kind of feel to it. It does. It does. Oh, hey, Leslie, keep it real. It's nice to see you, my love. I hope you're doing well. And all the other people that came in here, Arcaholic, it's nice to see you. Peggy, Angel, good morning. It's nice to see you all here. Peggy says, same, Betty. I have fibromyalgia, and doctors said I'd be in pain medication for the rest of my life. I said, you want to make a bet? Yeah. I take ibuprofen, and you know what? And that's what I tell other people. Like even the real me too, when she had back surgery, she was on all that stuff, and I told her, and she's like, it's just not killing the pain. I told her the truth. I said, look, I've been on all those medications too. They loop you out. It's like they want you so loopy you forget you're in pain. I said, and I don't like that. So I told her what I did. I took the ibuprofen, and when I had my neck surgery, I took the Aleve with the arthritis Aleve. I don't know. It seemed to work quicker for me. I don't know if that helps anybody in the future, but when I had the neck surgery, the arthritis Aleve worked the best on my neck surgery. So I don't know. Daniel is one who took care of Lilly and Jack. That's what I was saying, is that, there's more to the story. These children, I keep, we're all looking at Malaya, and I think we are looking at her rightfully so. There's something there. And I remember the Real Me Too and I were having a conversation yesterday about this case. And, I do believe there is a strong possibility that they're back in the woods, and I haven't denied that. But if this is how I kind of feel about this situation and what's leading me to believe that that's not going to be the case. It's because we have a mother that left the area. Okay, we have children that went missing, that allegedly wandered into the woods. It does happen time to time, especially out there in the rural areas. Kids get turned around, and they need to go. They have people go out and get them, and they come home. They come home safely, no harm, no foul. It's just an experience and something to laugh about in a few years, right? So we've got a situation where the mom took off. The mom took off and started doing some bizarre things. Now, if these children were truly in that house that morning and she truly took her eyes off of them for only 20 minutes, and she truly doesn't know where they were, but knew that they were truly in that house that morning, then she would know without a doubt that her and Daniel had nothing to do with it. There would be no accusations in the front of the yard. They would just be them coming together as a family talking about how horrible social media is. But that's not the case. They immediately started pointing the finger at Daniel. The mom, her family, the grandmother started immediately pointing the finger. Now, what could have happened? Could she have gotten into this relationship and he just, her fun-filled life, and he just took it away from her? He just mentally abused her until she was just, caged in the house, right? Caged in the house. Remember that, that rhyme Reverend Donna said coming in this case, and she said, I don't know what it has to do with. And it was the pumpkin. You guys remember that? Had a wife and couldn't keep her and put her in a pumpkin shell, and there he kept her very well. You guys remember that? Did you guys watch that? I think that has a lot to do with the relationship between Daniel and Malaya. I think they were accusing him of being responsible for what led to this. I think that's more in line with it, that he turned Malaya like this to cause this. This is on him. I think that's more in line with what was being conveyed, is that he's responsible. And I think they're saying he's responsible for Malaya, and Malaya not doing well. But it's reading between the lines. It's definitely taking some statements and really putting my own spin on it. So it's all conjecture. It's just theorizing at best, but it's why I feel the way I feel, and why I feel like this is ultimately going to be, yet again, a parent involved in the disappearance of their children. And I really do believe, at first, just like in the Sebastian Drake Rogers case, we were kind of looking at the stepfather. In this case, I was kind of looking at the stepfather. And in the Sebastian Drake Rogers case, his stepfather supported that he's a piece of shit. Okay, sorry, not sorry. Supported it, and here we are today with Christopher Proudfoot, right? But with Daniel, it's a little different. It seems to me that there's something he's not telling the world, and that something may be the detachment of the other, Malaya's detachment from the children. I feel like he's being deceptive about something related to this case, but what? Okay? But he's also the one that, to me, has been wanting people to believe that he was not involved in this. Okay? I feel like he knows something more that he's not telling us, that if we knew this piece of information, this whole situation would make sense. And I'm still side-eyeing because something's just, not sitting well with me. And I think it's that aspect of we feel his deception. But I think the deception we're feeling from him is misplaced. I think the deception that we're feeling from him is not related to the disappearance of the children directly. I think the information that he's being deceptive about is truly what Malaya was going through. I think that is what's being hidden from the public. Because I think if we started learning about that, we would be more sus of the mother. And that's what they're trying to prevent, is any of this, negative talk about the mom, because the mom's hearing this stuff, she's internalizing this stuff. And I've got to think that if she was on the break, or that's what caused the children to be missing, I have to think that she's probably progressed a lot worse since this situation has progressed the way it has. So are we going to be dealing with Malaya losing her stuff? Does she need to be in a facility? Like, is it getting to that point? I don't know. We haven't seen her, but I do have to take the concerns of Daniel seriously. And getting back to Daniel, watching him and his behavior and stuff like that, and how he's advocated for these children, he's kind of worn on me a little bit. And I know if he's done that way to me, he's done that to some of my audience too, where, we're starting to believe him a little bit more than we once did. We're starting to believe that, he had nothing to do with this and he was the one trying to find the kids. And we're learning that he was the primary caregiver of these two children. And it sounds like he cared for them. Granted, they're out in desolate area, it's isolated, it's dirty on the grounds there, but I'm really starting to believe Daniel, but I do believe he's being deceptive. But I think what he's being deceptive about is not deception because he's guilty. I think he has a guilty mind and conscience, maybe because he didn't step in sooner, maybe because he didn't get help sooner. I feel like I'm starting to feel like that's more in line with this uneasy feeling that I'm having with Daniel, as opposed to him, being a Chris Proudfoot and most likely disposing of the children to protect the mom, right? So that's kind of how I feel in a nutshell. And that's unscripted. That's just me talking to you guys about my processes and why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. Now, does that mean it's accurate? Of course not. It's a feeling, okay? It's not a fact. So we have to remember that. Fact versus feeling, okay? Now, what I'm talking to you guys now is a feeling. I feel that this is the way it's going. The only factual information that we have right now that we know of is that mom, dad, and allegedly 3 children were inside that house the morning of May 2nd. That's it. Okay? That's all we know. We don't know if the kids truly went out the sliding glass door. We don't know if they were truly outside playing in the backyard. We don't know anything. What we know that's being conveyed to us as factual information is that the morning of May 2nd, 5 people were inside that trailer. We don't know if that's even true. Could it have been only 3? Because we know that they were out. If we look at Leilani is going to be the most resembling of this case that we covered personally and have thorough knowledge of. So I'm going to rely on that case for guidance in this one, since I'm starting to feel like this might be a 2.0. In that particular case, Daniel worked. He went to work that day. She had an abscess. She had to go to the doctor and get this abscess taken care of. So her mouth was a little swollen. She went home. It sounds like they may have been smoking, doping, partying, whatever. And then late at night or early in the morning, they all went to bed. And Daniel, he went to bed and hoping that she would come to bed later. Well, he ends up waking up the next morning to wake her up to see if she's going to go to work with him. And she says she's not feeling good. She's going to take the day off. So he calls the babysitter and tells the babysitter the kids aren't coming over there that day. And he gets off and goes to work. Well, several hours later, she gets up and calls him and says that Quentin's missing. Somebody kidnapped Quentin. Come to find out, it didn't happen after he went to work. All of this happened while he slept in that house, and she snuck out between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning, or 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning, and disposed of her child while Daniel Youngkin slept in bed, none the wiser that she just committed murder and disposed of the victim while he slept. So we know it's possible. We have a case where these exact things happened. Are these going to be the details that we find in the case of Lilly and Jack Sullivan? I don't know. I don't want to believe that. I don't, I've looked at these videos of Malaya at 16 years old. She looked like a cute 16-year-old girl. She looked like a fun, very curious, loves animals, loves arts, a normal teenager. I would never expect this to be her story, 10 years later. And so when I see that, I want to know why. Because in Leilani's case, we can attribute her problems to her damn mother. Her mother's substance abuse problems, her mother's abuse problems of her children when she was in the care. The fact that those children had to go to foster homes. Leilani and her brother Simon had to go to foster homes and stuff. Like, we knew why they were messed up. In this case, there's no indication even showing that history for Malaya. But Malaya is showing guilty signs. And I don't want to think that she's a guilty person. I'd much rather think her children walked off into the woods and got lost and got caught up in something, and that's how things happen for them. But I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. How did Daniel know what kind of clothes Jack was wearing? That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe they were there that morning. Maybe that's what he saw them in when they put him down for bed the night before. That might explain it all right there. I don't know. Hey, Tammy, it's nice to see you. Hello, everyone. Did any of you see the busy for human in Charleston, South Carolina, 80 arrested at a bar? There was a missing child there. Oh, no, I didn't. Tammy, can you send me that? Can you email me that article to bullhornbetty@gmail.com? I greatly appreciate it. Yes, the real Me Too went to Leilani's trial. I was dealing with, I was supposed to be there, but I had to cancel my trip because I had other crap dealing with a hate channel, another child abuser. She was also a content creator. Well, I wish every mom was like my mom, but here we are. I know. And all of our moms, none of our moms are perfect either. We think they're perfect because they're our moms. But, raising children is difficult. And there are times that parents, I know for me, I would push my parents to the limits when I was a teenager because I knew that's how I got my way. Now that I'm older, I identify that. I didn't realize that when it was happening, when I was a teenager, and I just wanted to manipulate my way to my way, but now being, almost 46 years old and looking at, 30 years ago at my teenage years, it paints a picture, and I can identify traits in myself, even as far back as that. So who made the tree fort? Interesting. I don't know. But I know Leilani. I know that Malaya, as well as Daniel, have lived there and in that area. They would know where to go. They probably explored that area. Being out there in that desolate area, they probably had to find things for them to do to keep them and their kids occupied. I'm curious where Malaya was, and I'm curious if she was if she ever left the house at all by herself that Daniel is aware of. Those are details that he's not talking about. But he is giving some, even at the beginning, he was giving some indications like, hey, I'm the only one here fighting for these kids, So you can tell that he is frustrated that he's by himself and alone in this. And I've got to think that he's starting to think, if he didn't think before, that it is possible for Malaya to have hurt her kids. I mean, he lived with her. He knows that she's detached from those kids. It sounds like when she detached, he attached. He was more, involved with the older kids. So I don't know. I can hear my mom in the background. No, he wasn't. Yeah. It was yesterday. I was talking to my sister and looked it up. Most wasn't here legal. If you just look it up, you see that it was a bust. Oh, wow. Okay. My mom told me she loved me but didn't like me. My grandma was more of a mom to me. Yeah, I laugh at that because I think I've heard that line a time or two myself. Our grandparents always love us. And that's why it's so hard for me to justify Malaya's mom, grandma, and her behavior. Like, her behavior to me is indicating that she's really fearful that her daughter is going to be charged. She's monitoring what she's saying, how she's saying it, who she's speaking to. She was concerned that somebody might have her phone, when somebody was typing her phone number in. What are you doing with my daughter's phone? Like she was concerned that there was something incriminating in her phone that she did not want anybody seeing. Did she text message her mom about anything? I think these things are going to come out. I don't know. I'm just not feeling comfortable with Malaya, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable with Daniel, and that's a little weird. I'm not completely out of the woods with them, wandering off. I still believe that there is a strong possibility, because we have to go back to Elijah Vu, and Elijah Vu, the area he was found, they had checked that area with drones, dogs, ATVs, scent dogs, just everything. Several times too. I think more than 5 different times they searched the area, that very specific area where Elijah Vu was found, and they missed him every time. And he was a small kid. He was only 2 years old. One of these children are only 4 years old. So you're talking about a much smaller object that they're looking for. And there's so much greenery and foliage that can almost mask, cover up a person, So are they out there? They're out there somewhere. Even if the mom did something with him, even if Daniel did something with him, they had to put him somewhere. So they're definitely out there. The question is where? How far could they be? I think is really what's coming down to. But I think after a month, we can conclude that I think law enforcement was right on day 5 when they said the chance of these children being alive is not good. So that's where we are in the Lilly and Jack case. So now we have the mom and her girlfriend of Janiah McMichael. They are suspects, in my opinion, in the disappearance of a 13-year-old girl in Gary, Indiana. Now we're here on Lilly and Jack. Again, it's a good possibility that Malaya may be involved in the disappearance of her children, but there is a real possibility that these children are lost somewhere out there in that wilderness. But because of the behavior of mom, she's put on today's show related to parents that do terrible things to their children. And now we're going to another case, and this is in Hendersonville, Tennessee. It's Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. Many of you guys know this case. If you've been following me for any significant time, I've taken a deep dive into it. I stopped the entire show to solely focus on the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case for over a year. And we've learned a lot. We've learned that the mom and stepdad are liars. We've learned that there was movement on the outside of their house between 3 and 4 a.m. We have done the timeline, and it does appear that the stepfather had plenty of time to come back from his home, from where he was staying in Mississippi, to that house, and still have plenty of time to return back to his area in time for work to clock in between 6:30 and 6:45, which is what we were told he clocked in at. So for me, I know that, let me just put this caveat here. Seth believes his son is alive and doesn't believe that Katie is as sick and as twisted as I believe she is. And he doesn't think she has it in her to hurt their son, and believes that his son is somewhere in a facility. I don't. I believe his ex-wife is a psychotic woman. I think she was hard at a young girl. She was 5 years old. It messed her head up. She's had a lot of violent tendencies, and she's had a short fuse for behavior. And I think that over time of her having her son, which she was never the primary caregiver when he was born, she ran off to the Navy, and Seth was. So he had better understanding and working skills with his son in his son's disabilities and helping his son thrive. But out of hate and to hurt Seth, she wanted Sebastian. She was the only one that wanted Sebastian. And within the time that she got him, within a year of her having custody of him, he was AR'd and SA'd by an older kid. She met a man that has verbally and physically abused him. And she had a man, his name's Chris Proudfoot, and it is her husband that gave her an ultimatum that she had to choose her son or him. Shortly after that argument, several months later, all of a sudden, Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers is missing from his home, has no evidence of ever leaving his home, and the only evidence of anybody walking out of the home were 2 flashlights going to an unknown marked car in the middle of the night, about 2 to 3 hours before he was reported missing. And I truly believe that was Chris and Katie taking him out of the house. Somebody was holding something large in their hands, carrying it to the car, I believe. Sebastian was already deceased, and Chris was removing him from the house. I believe Sebastian is deceased. I believe Katie killed him, and I believe she called Chris to help her clean it up. I have not found, I have a lot of information that supports that theory. Obviously not, a slam dunk, but we definitely have a lot of indicators that support that theory. And I still think Katie killed her kid. I think she lost her shit. I don't know why, but he had a bruise around his neck, so I don't think this was the first time she attempted to strangle him. I believe he was strangled to death, and I believe Chris Proudfoot dismembered him. That's my working theory right now. It's been my working theory for the last 6 to 8 months, and I've been trying to acquire any and all information to support that theory. It's a grim theory. Now, I've thought maybe they put him in water, and then I thought maybe they buried him, but he was just too confident after they went through their states and did their tour of states. They were way too confident that he would never be found. And I kept thinking about it. How could somebody be that confident? Because even in water, over time, the body breaks down and it could float. He was ultra confident he would never be found. And there's only one way to make sure that happens. And so that's kind of been my working theory throughout this time. It's going to continue to be my working theory. And I really don't care if the Proudfoots try to have me arrested for my theories. And I really could care less about Sumner County because they are not doing shit for this case. They're not doing shit for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. They need to sit down and move this on up to the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations or get the U.S. Marshals involved. But they're not going to do anything because they're broke and they're idiots. And that's my statement. I'm going to stick to it. Sumner County can kiss my ass. The police can kiss my ass. The sheriff can kiss my ass. I just want them to cut ties with this case, move it up to TBI so we can get this case solved. They are not the investigative body that's going to bring this case home. I'm sorry, they're just not. They're too corrupt and they're too much in the pockets of the Bauer Sox and the Proudfoots. And so I'm going to say it just like that. So that's where we are with Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers, and I know it hurts his father's heart very much every time I make that statement. And but at the end of the day, it's my thought, it's how I feel, and to keep that from my audience is not fair because a lot of my audience might be feeling the same way, and we might be able to derive some more information by speaking about it and letting that theory be known. So I'm still looking for any information to help support That theory, as well as, the theory, wherever Sebastian is, I want the truth, and the truth is being hidden, and the people that are helping hide it is Seminole County Sheriff's Department. So I have no faith in them, and will continue not to have faith in them until they show me, until they earn it, right? They haven't earned squat yet. They pissed all over this case. They screwed up this case, and then they tucked their tail between their legs and ran and hid. I have no respect for that law enforcement body. I think Eric Craddock is a joke. I think Mr. Struggle Snuggles needs to be booted. I think we need a real law enforcement agent to take over that agency. And quite frankly, I think the whole damn place, the whole damn county needs new leadership. And until the day that they get new leadership, I'm going to be putting them under a microscope. I'm listening to all of their corruption. I'm listening to all of the protests, even if it doesn't have to do with crime. I'm making sure that Sumner County and the state of Tennessee is being smeared on my channel. And I'm doing it tactfully, and I'm doing it with a purpose, because I want change. I want change. Because they're corrupt. These people abuse this child, and they won't even arrest him for child abuse. They're sick. They're sick. So I have no faith for them. Okay, now lastly, for our round of our piece of garbage parents is the Decker sisters. So we've learned about Janiah McMichael. Her mother and her mother's girlfriend are the most likely responsible for Janiah's disappearance. Now we went to Lilly and Jack. We're kind of iffy on there, but because mom is having some really, really red flag behaviors, they have been added to this debut of Horrible Parents. Then we go over to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. His mother and his stepfather are the lowest of low. They're just plain evil. They're plain evil. They're disgusting people. They're disgusting people with a little bit of money. That's it. And now we're going over to the Decker sisters, which lost their life at the hands of their own father. I don't even want to know what that is. He used zip ties and placed bags over them. I was hopeful that whatever he did in their sleep. You guys know that. I said that publicly. And to hear that all three of those children most likely died in terror. Like, I want this man's blood. I hope he's dead before they find him. And as horrible as that makes me as a person, I'm going to have to live with that, but I hope he's dead. I think Whitney has been through enough. I'm not going to come off my statements when it comes to that. I'm an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth person. And Travis, if you're watching, just eat a bullet. Do us all a favor. And I know that people on here are going to be some type of outraged. I don't care. I don't care. Because I don't think it's fair to put that mother through this kind of trial. And the only way she's going to be able to avoid it is if he is found deceased, or he pleads guilty, which I doubt he will. So I'd just rather take the path where he's going anyways. I hope he gets right with God, but if he needs to borrow a bullet, I got one on hand. Just saying. Just saying. And for all my people in here, pray for me. If you don't like what's coming out of my mouth, pray for me. I don't know what to tell you, but this man did horrible things to 3 beautiful girls. And quite frankly, I want to see a body bag, not handcuffs. So take this for what you will. We will be back on schedule. Thank you guys all for coming over here. I think I'm going to be running some lives over here because I've been creating some videos and it jams up my lives over there. So if you guys love the Bullhorn Betty channel and love what we do, please sub up over here. I put the bar down to 20 minutes today because I knew that we had promoted coming over here, and I didn't want to set a day and then new people signing up over here on the new channel wouldn't be able to speak. And stuff like that. So I made sure it was 20 minutes. So until we get everybody kind of converted over here for the next 30 days, then we'll we'll keep that about 20 minutes. And if it gets a little out of hand with like trolls and stuff like that, we'll just turn it back to a day and just people will just have to suffer. So there is that. But that's where we're at for today. I want to thank everybody that participated. And you guys get a special deal because we are not going to forget about Christopher and Katie Proudfoot. We're not going to forget about Kathy or Terry Bowerstocks. We're not going to forget about how horrible those people were to Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers when he was here with them. We're not going to forget. And we're not going to forget that his mother and his stepfather have run away in the heart of search efforts. Why? Because they are cowards and they are deceptive. That is my opinion. I believe Katie Proudfoot murdered her son. And I will continue to state that until he comes home. But I want everybody to know how I feel about those 4 pieces of you know what. And I'm not going to be silent like they tried to do. I will not be silent, and I will continue to think that she is a murderer, and nothing short of her producing her son is going to change my mind, period. So, now, because Chris is an a-hole, and we don't like him, it's time for a mullet party! Which one is it? Do we want the mullet party? I think I want the long-winded one.
If you shave your cooch, but not your booty hole, is that the same as a mullet?
My tongue out her ass and left. I'm on TV! Oh shit! First cops, now this? Oh.
We're not going to allow people that can injure a child, abuse a child, call them an R-tard, call them a PUSSY, spray them with hoses, throw their toys away, take their underwear away. We're not going to allow some piece of crap like that intimidate us from calling them a murderous piece of garbage that they are. No. Chris and Katie need to produce Sebastian. It's been long enough. Nobody believes he's in a home. Nobody believes that they would spend $1. They're so cheap, they didn't even produce $500 until months later to help find their son. $500. So, but they were going out for a $30,000 motorcycle for Katie on one of Sebastian's vigils. That's right. That's right. Melanie, thank you. She's reminding us to have a happy Thursday. We have the real Me Too up in the house. Betty fan just had a birthday, and she's about to be 2 years old in a few months here on the Bullhorn Betty channel. We got the real Me Too, which is short-lived, actually just slightly in front of Betty fan. And the YouTuber, our family friend, has decided to grace us with their presence on this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Welcome to the crazy house, my friend. Welcome to the crazy house. And once the mullet party, say what? Groovy gal, thank you so much. Oh, Grave Crime and Grace, love BHB mods, Delilah, wonderful Coffee Club members, and love what you say, Betty. So I know, some of the things I say are, quite, I do shock people with my words. It's by design. I do say things because I want people to have those topics of conversation, and we are going to. We're going to have a dead or alive conversation about the Decker's sisters' case related to their father, Travis Decker. Is he dead or is he alive? We're hearing all these sightings all over the country. None of them are panning out. He loves the woods and mountains, can survive out there for months, but he was spiraling out of control. And I have to think the ending of his children's lives were the ending of his world, which kind of leads me to believe we're going to find him deceased anyways. I think he truly might be closer than they think. Just my opinion. He has no vehicle. Yeah, can he live off the land? Yeah, he can. But why take his daughters? This to me is, this to me is he's not going out alone. He wants his family with him. And I keep wondering, is Whitney in protective custody? Because, what if he's coming back? I mean, family annihilators are family annihilators. Part of the family's not annihilated. Is he going to try and make an attempt at her? I don't know. But all I can tell you is that based on everything I'm seeing, he was mentally bankrupt. And it sounds like this may have been planned. I believe he's going out. And I believe he took his kids with him. Why he didn't stay there with them, I don't know. Is he living off the land? I don't know. I just feel like we've heard this story before and the person was found. I think they're chasing ghosts. I think he's already dead. I think this is another Brian Laundrie situation. I really do. I really do. I think he's right under their freaking nose. There's just something in me that just does not believe he's running all over the country. He has no truck. He has no phone. He has no money. Could he have put supplies out? Okay, so he could have put some supplies out there. But what indicator? I mean, that's theoretic anyways. They didn't find any supplies out there. That's theoretic. That's theoretical. So what information do we have? We have a man that's spinning out of control, that unalived his children, left all of his belongings behind, cell phones, truck, everything. To me, I feel like this is already set in stone, but law enforcement believes he's alive and he's running. And they believe they're on his trail. So I don't know what to make of this case, but my gut's telling me he's dead. I didn't even want to know the details of this case. It is too hard. Are you kidding me? When I had to go through and when I found those pictures of the children, I don't know. I couldn't even begin to tell you how I stumbled across them, but it was just going down the rabbit holes. And then I found those photos. But seeing those kids, seeing the whole family, Travis before he went nuts, the mom, the kids, just seeing how happy and wonderful their life looked. And just seeing this devastation and just wondering how the hell we could get here. The man's teeth were falling out. I'm sorry. He may have had mental illness, but at some point, to me, he got on drugs. I feel like I feel like there's substance abuse here too. Either alcohol or some major hard substances. Something. If he premeditated it, he had a plan, a second vehicle. But how, if he can't even afford how is he paying for a vehicle? He can't even afford a place to live. Vehicles cost money. Trust me. Go out and look for one. Find one that'll run more than 100 miles. You ain't walking away. You ain't getting a vehicle for under $5,000 this day and age. It's going to take you from point A to point B. I don't know. I think that's theorizing too. We're speculating highly on that. But does he even have the means to have a second car? I think that needs to be the first question we ask. I wonder if he has a few. Being in the military, I'd have to think that he would have kept one. Even if he had to sell all of them, I just don't see him selling living on the streets in the wilderness without one firearm. He would have to stop for gas, yeah. I don't know. I just, if the truck wasn't there, then yeah, I would think the man's on the run. But the kids are there with the truck, with the electronics. I don't know. I really don't know. It to me sounds hitchhike. Yeah, he could hitchhike, but I would think that with how elevated this case has gotten in that area, if somebody did pick him up or hitchhike, just like Brian Laundrie, the people came forward when they heard the story. And they're like, wait a minute, that's the guy I picked up, and called those things in. So I think if he was picked up, people would. And this doesn't look like a guy that would be reliant on other people or involve other people. I know. That's exactly it, VA. He says, I don't know a combat vet that doesn't own one. That's why I said no matter how bad it got, I would think he would still at least keep one. He's more than likely get a check from the VA. Well, you know what? They can freeze his assets. He's a criminal fleeing the law. I'm pretty sure they got his bank account. They would have to have his bank account shut down. That would probably be, they probably did that on day one, because that's how they smoked people out. Reminds me of Chad from Ohio. Yeah. 3 boys, 3 girls. But what do you think is causing? You know, there's got to be cause and effect. You know, we got all these parents. Now, granted, I truly believe, because we're searing cold cases, y'all. So don't think that this shit wasn't happening 40, 50, 60 years ago. Parents have been killing kids for a long time. Okay? Whether we've known it or not. You know, back in the day, kids would just disappear. You know, they'd say they went to a preparatory school, and nobody would ever think anything about it. But look at all these cases now that we have the genetic genealogy. Look at all these 50 and 60, 40 years, 30-year-old cases that are now being solved. Some of these are parents that are now going to jail, you know, for 20 and 30 years from killing their infants 20, 30, 40 years ago. So this is not new. Parents have been pretty rough. You know, children are fragile. You can do a lot, like a little puppy, like a chihuahua. I mean, Delilah came, she was like this big. I could have gotten up and stepped on her and killed her. I could have sat on her by accident and killed her. They're fragile, they're tiny, you know, so we take great care. But people that have anger and can't stand screaming, they'll take a child and throw them. They're not like normal parents. There's something not wired in them correctly. And a lot of this anger and outbursts are typically related to drugs and alcohol. And a lot of the mental illness that you're seeing in a lot of places are self-mental illness. It's because people had no mental illness or had some problems, decided to engage in or partake in substance abuse, and then now they have huge problems because they're addicted, you know, have the addictive personality. Some people can utilize substances, and you probably wouldn't believe it, could utilize addictive substances every single day, and a doctor tell them you can't do it anymore. They stop cold turkey, never turn back. People, those type of people are people that we're talking about. We're talking about the people that utilize these substances, and it's addictive. That means that they could be driving to pay their payment, but because they have $100 in their hand, they're going to the dope dealer's house. I don't know. I just feel like drugs are in this story somewhere. I feel like that Travis is either an alcoholic or drug addicted. It might be to help him, or what he, you know, thinks will help him with his mental stuff, calm him down, whatever the case may be. He did owe $13,000. I uncovered that too. He owed over $13,000 in child support, which means if he started missing payments, they would take his driver's license. That means he would have lost his last home, his vehicle that he could have lived in. So there's a lot of stuff that snowballed from this man. And it's a shame. It truly is a shame, but it is what it is. We are on a hunt for him. I truly believe he's dead somewhere. I think right now he's deceased. I don't believe he's on the run. Just like Brian Laundrie, when I was out there, I thought he was on the run. I absolutely thought he was on the run. I had no idea he would be, off himself. We were running around for over a month looking for a guy that was laying 500 feet away from us, So it's just one of those things. We don't know. We don't know. Is he alive? Is he dead? We don't know. But we're going to stay vigilant. We're going to keep pushing his face and name out there. And we're going to pray to God that something breaks and they can put him either in jail or in the ground. I'm perfectly fine with either one. I'm perfectly fine with either one. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, please be safe, but more importantly, kind to one another. We will be back. We're utilizing this channel. We're obviously got an overwhelming amount of cases all of a sudden. I don't know where all these things came from, but we were on Sebastian Drake Rogers for a year. A couple breaking news cases over the last year came up. But nothing that we stayed focused on or anything. But now we have Lilly and Jack. We've got the Decker sisters, and we still have Janiah McMichael, which is not rating very high. And she needs help. Everybody is always on these platforms screaming that it's always the white people that get their debut and all this other stuff. We're running Janiah McMichael's stuff and nobody's paying attention to her. She's a kid. She's 13 years old. She deserves to be here. She deserves to find out. And more importantly, she deserves justice. She deserves justice. All right. Thank you for reminding me about the poll. I forgot I even had the poll, which is what happens because I think I'm demented. I'm going to be going to the geriatric ward very, very soon. So there is that. Hold on, let me find my poll. Okay. So why are parents unaliving their children? Now, I put several different things. I only get 4 slots, so I had to make it count. So one of the questions, evil, mental health, stress, or don't want kids. And 45% of our audience attributes it to being plain evil. The evil in our world. The evil in our world. Followed by mental health. So evil and mental health issues are taking the cake when it comes to why parents are unaliving their children. The lowest ranking options were stress and just don't want the kids. So I have to believe that there is evil in this country. We see it every single day, and we try like hell not to be part of it, right? Sometimes we get anger and hate in our own hearts that we have to keep in check. I can tell you the stories that I've debuted today are, I feel some type of way about all 4 of those cases. And it sickens me that in all 4 of those cases, I think it's a parental figure involved, except with the exception of the Decker sisters, where we know it's the father. They're hunting the father right now to bring him to justice. Our children are precious. They're valuable. In this day and age, we don't judge people when they say, I'm not cut out to be a parent, right? We don't make them feel horrible. We actually say, you know what? If you don't want to be a parent in the United States of America, we're going to make it easy. You can drop your baby off at any police station or any fire department or any hospital. Because we in America don't want you abusing a child, and we don't want you having a child you don't want. We are willing to take your child away from you so you can live your best life if you do not want that child. But what we request, only one request from all of those parents across this country: don't hurt your child and bring your child in immediately. If you don't want the child, America's not going to force you to take care of a child you do not want. You know what we'll do? We'll take your child. We'll raise your child. We'll make sure that your child has all their needs taken care of if you cannot provide that for you or to them. So all the parents out there in America, we're not judging you. We're actually making it easier now than it has ever been in the history of our country. If you don't want your child, we will take care of your child for you. We will do it with love. But please, the only requirement we ask of you is don't hurt your child. Give your child a fighting chance. Don't fall to the stigma of, if you give your child up, what will people think? Who cares? At the end of the day, it's about the best your child can be. It's about what is in the best interest of your child. And if you're not in the best interest of your child, okay, we can work with that. All we need you to do is bring your loving baby to a police station, a firehouse, or a hospital. Problem solved for you and child safe for us. A win-win. A win-win. So let's remind people, let's get active out there in our own communities and remind people in our own communities. Get on Facebook, get into the searches. Let people know you don't have to keep your kid anymore. If you don't want your kid, you don't have to keep them. We'll take them. We'll take them. We'll take them. So get the word out that people that don't want to be parents don't have to be. And we're not going to judge them for that. But what we will do is we will respect their decision and we will take care of their child. That's what we'll do. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. We will see you soon. We will be back on the other channel. I don't know when. I've still got to try to figure this out. We've got 4 cases going on. They're pretty major cases. 5 if we bring in Lester Isbell, because I am going to be covering Lester Isbell's case. I think Lester Isbell's case is going to make national news. I really do. And I want to help promote him making national news, because that right there made me sick to my stomach. And when I get that upset about seeing videos of anybody, I don't care if that was a football star that could handle that kind of business, that could handle being treated like that. I don't care. That was disgusting to me. That was the most disgusting behavior I've ever seen law enforcement that I've personally witnessed. I'm sure there's some pretty bad ones out there, but that's ones that I personally witnessed. And I will not have it. I say heck to the no. Heck to the no. So we're going to keep covering and giving you guys updates on the development of Lester Isbell. His family deserves justice. I think those law enforcement agents somebody should be in jail. Had anybody treated anybody like that on the outside of that jail, they would have been arrested with felonies. Felonies. And I think somebody needs to be held accountable, without a doubt. So we'll be covering that case. We're going to be covering these horrible parents. We're never going to stop covering these horrible parents, because they always give us something more to cover. I just wish the parents that don't want their children, drop them off, save a life, and move on with your life. Quit hurting the kids. Quit hurting the kids. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.